Well, hello everybody. Hope you're doing well. I hope you had a restful weekend. Um, I've had an eventful weekend. I've had an eventful um, couple of weeks. I know the last video was about peace and finding and coveting that peace. I've had some things go on over the last little bit over a week that have challenged that piece a bit. Um, and I'm having a hard time. My body is having a hard time with it. Um, so it wasn't last week. I think it was the end of the week before that. There were two medical emergencies at work, and I was on break outside just talking with somebody I work with, and um, the medical emergencies were not related, and it was just a really messed up coincidence. It was one after another, and I had to, go from feeling at ease and peaceful to like hyperdrive immediately. And I won't get into their business, that's not my place. But as far as what it did to me, I'm still trying to figure it out. It triggered something in me from my past, and I can't figure out which trauma or traumas it triggered. But yesterday was a good day. Yesterday I went with one of my chosen family, and we went and saw The Conjuring Last Rites. It was good, but there was a scene that involved an animal that I and my chosen family were not prepared for at all. That kind of soured me to it. But anyway, we did that, and then a little while later, a few hours later, we went and had barbecue and bonfire at another member of my chosen family's house. And when we do that, we always get together and, lots of laughs and lots of fun and lots of conversation. And I was talking about what happened at work. And as I was talking about it, my entire body was shaking and trembling. And I knew that it was bothering me. Like like the people are fine. They're okay. But whatever it did to me in that moment, I just am having a really hard time with. I think maybe. So it was back, I think it was 2012, around there, when I was doing my credentialing program for special education at Cal State Fullerton. There was a lockdown, and what had happened was I was going to class after work, and there were a group of men who had harmed someone to death, that were running from the police. I think it was from Riverside all the way to Cal State Fullerton. And then they got out on campus. Now, where they got out was next to the building that I had to go into. And as I was coming in was when, like, it had just happened, but I didn't know, like, the police hadn't blocked off any buildings or anything. I didn't know what happened. I just knew that there was a police presence. So I went ahead and went to the building and asked somebody, a student there, what was going on, and they kind of vaguely told me, and they're like, you really should get out of here. They're probably going to lock down the campus. And in the moment, I was like, oh, okay, I better get out of here. And then something stopped me, and I went, I really should let my class know, So I went up to my class and let them know. And then I was like, that's not enough. So I went to other classes nearby and let them know. And I'm like, you should get out of here. And because it took so long to do that, I got stuck. Went downstairs and they were like, nope, back inside, shelter in place. It was one of the most terrifying nights of my life. We were sheltered in place in our classroom, and we barricaded the door, but the doors opened inward. So, no, I'm sorry, the doors opened outward. So there was really no point of barricading the door. And the professor didn't have a key. So we were sitting ducks. And we didn't know what was going to happen. So I had gotten on the phone with my grandma and my son and basically was saying goodbye. Just in case. A lot of us did that. The hours ticked by. My professor at one point put it up on the screen, like the news up on the screen so we could watch it live, and that freaked me out because I'm like, we shouldn't be putting anything up on the screen or being loud or anything like that. We're drawing attention to ourselves. This is a dumb idea, More time ticked by and people started to need to use the restroom. So, and I was one of those people, so we went together to the restroom, and as we were going back out, I saw that some people were going to different classrooms and were having to knock on the door, and they were having to be let in. And so I called down the hall to those students, and I was like, does your classroom have a lock on it? And they were like, yeah. And I said, do you guys have room for us? And they're like, yeah. They asked the professor, and they're like, absolutely. So I went back into our classroom, and I told the professor, and I told the students. And the professor was like, our professor was like, oh, I don't think it's a good idea to leave. They probably have a roster. The police probably have a roster of where we all are. We should probably stay here. And this is when I was like, I was done with this professor because I think they handled it stupidly. I said, you can stay here if you want to. I'm going down the hall to that classroom, and anybody that wants to come with me, let's go. So essentially the whole class and I went to the other locked classroom, and we sat and we waited, and on the offshoot of that classroom was a security room, and there were monitors where they could see outside into the hallway, so we were all just watching that. Eventually we as a group decided to leave, which was terrifying. The police were not happy, but it was like, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock at night. We were there for hours. It was one of the most terrifying nights, and it stayed with me and I haven't processed it. It's not something that I've talked about in therapy. That is what keeps coming to mind. Even though it's a different situation, it was such a high stress, scary situation that for whatever reason, I think my two coworkers having that medical emergency triggered that event. I don't know why, but I think that's what happened. So I'm struggling. I'm struggling right now. And then a member of my chosen family who had a medical emergency Friday before last has been kicking ass. Like, she's been incredible and dealing with everything that she's had to deal with, and will continue to have to deal with what she's going through medically. But today, she wasn't feeling good at work, and she ended up leaving, was able to get home okay. Another member of my chosen family followed her home in the car. I was on standby just in case they needed me. She's okay. I think she's sleeping right now. But I worry. Like, I can't help it. Because I love her. And I would do anything for my chosen family. So that was a lot. So today I was supposed to go to the grocery store and just do some chores around the house. I've got a bunch of boxes. Most of them are now emptied, and I've unpacked them. And I planned on using the electric wheelchair to go break them down and take them to the dumpster and do stuff around the house and go to the grocery store and make lunches for the week. And that's another thing. My new schedule for work starts this week, and Monday, Tuesday are now going to be 12 to 9 shifts, and then the rest of the week are 8 to 5. So Wednesday mornings are going to be awful. I'm going to be exhausted. So I'm just kind of prepping myself for the week. So I ended up doing absolutely nothing today. Like, absolutely nothing. I took a nap. I slept in, and I was kind of feeling guilty over it. And then I'm sitting here going, no, like, I've been busting my butt, and it's okay. It's okay when your body is saying no. It's okay to take that day of rest. It's okay. Like, that's exactly what I would be telling my chosen family if they came to me and were feeling guilty for taking a day of rest. I would be telling them that exact thing. But as a narcissistic abuse survivor, as a trauma survivor, it's kind of a double standard with yourself, and you don't think it's okay for you, which is ridiculous. So I have to remind myself it's okay for me to do those things, and to take care of myself. And taking care of myself today meant doing nothing. So the rest of the night will be spent with Chupacabra and Clarice and chilling out. I watched the Buffalo Bills game, and they rocked it. The Jets stink. They stink. So that was cool. But other than that, I've done nothing. And that's okay. So that's kind of my message for you survivors. Give yourself the grace. If your body is telling you that you need rest and you need to recoup, that's okay. Take the time to rest and recoup. And that guilt that you feel, that's the trauma. and tell it to F off. Anyway, that's my message for you guys for the week. I might do another one of these later on in the week. I'll let you know. But I hope everybody's having a good one. As always, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll talk to you guys soon. Night, guys.